It's back to the drawing board for Alabama, but this time Alabama Republicans won't have their fingerprints on it. A panel of 3 federal judges, 2 of whom were appointed by Donald Trump, struck down Alabama's latest congressional district map stunt this week, calling it, quote, deeply troubling. Now, this is Alabama's second attempt at diluting the black vote with a map that allocated a majority black population to only 1 of 7 districts in a state where 27% of the residents are black. In June, the United States Supreme Court ordered lawmakers to pass a revised map that wasn't a likely violation of the Voting Rights Act. Since Alabama Republicans brazenly defied that order, the panel has now appointed a special master to redraw a, quote, remedial map to ensure that a plan can be implemented as part of an orderly process in advance of elections where the state was given an opportunity to enact a compliant map but failed to do so. Joining me now, Duell Ross, the Deputy Director of Litigation for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. He's also one of the attorneys who argued Allen v. Milligan, the aforementioned voting rights case in Alabama, before the United States Supreme Court. Duell, I think that language from that panel was pretty kind and polite. You and I are both lawyers. No way we would have the nerve to flagrantly defy a court order, let alone one from the United States Supreme Court. So is this just further evidence that Alabama Republicans think that there's another standard for them as they continue to pursue disenfranchisement of the black vote in their state?
Yeah, I think this is a brazen example of why the Voting Rights Act was first created. States passing discriminatory laws, courts striking them down, and then states passing laws that just do the exact same thing all over again. And so this is unprecedented in the modern era. But it's not something that Alabama and other states haven't done before in terms of trying to disenfranchise voters with slightly different variations on old discriminatory laws.
But lawmakers in this instance didn't even have to create an additional district with a majority black population, just one that came close. So why was this such an issue, and why does it continue to be such an issue?
I think Alabama is trying to go back to the Supreme Court. They've been pretty blatant in saying that they think that, the Supreme Court is going to change its mind, even though the court was very clear just 2 months ago that the Voting Rights Act is still needed, that it's constitutional, and that what Alabama did was in blatant violation of it. Black voters, like all voters, deserve the opportunity to elect candidates of their choice. And what Alabama is doing is blatantly defying the court's order in a way that is really, surprising, to say the least.
So, Duell, though, I want to go back for a second, though, because I think this is a really important point, because people complain about how there really isn't equal application of the law, how certain people get away with more because of their skin color or maybe their wealth. In this instance, how is it that something more akin to maybe a contempt finding and violation of an order, or something that has more teeth, hasn't actually applied to the Republicans that are doing this right now in the state legislature?
What happened here is essentially a finding that Alabama is in violation of the court's order, and the court has taken away the ability of Alabama to sort of engage in this redistricting process. The state has had 2 opportunities to draw districts that are fair to black voters, and has twice rejected, the opportunity to be fair to all voters. And so the court has taken away the state's ability to draw a new map, and it's put in place a special master who's going to comply with the court order and is under the direction of the court to do so.
But state Republicans, as you noted a couple of minutes ago, plan to appeal the court's decision back to the Supreme Court, asking for the panel's order to be put on hold during that appeals process. But we are hurtling towards another pivotal major election year. So what's the impact of the timing of an appeal to the Supreme Court here?
I think it's really unlikely that the Supreme Court is going to reverse itself. Just 2 months ago, the Supreme Court affirmed a ruling in which it said, the panel had said that Alabama had to draw 2 districts in which black voters had a fair opportunity to elect candidates of their choice. Instead of complying with that court order, as you noted, they simply, ignored it and drew a map in which black voters candidates win in none of the elections that our expert analyzed. And so I don't think that there's a world in which Alabama's ploy is going to work, but you never know what will happen in any court decision.
And Duell, what should the special master's map look like if it wants to be compliant with the orders from the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court and the trial court looked at 11 maps that our experts had drawn that created new additional majority-minority districts. And the trial court said that those are great examples of what the special master and what Alabama could have done to provide voters with a fair opportunity. As you noted, those districts don't have to be majority black. They just have to be districts in which black voters have a fair opportunity to elect candidates of their choice.
Joelle Ross, I don't know if you're going to have to end up arguing once again. Maybe the Supreme Court doesn't take up this appeal, but if they do, we'll be watching you. Thanks for joining us this morning and explaining this really important issue. And frankly, I'm just still stunned how flagrantly violative and defiant that they were. But I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.